This week we're wrapping up our discussion of who should go to college with a look at Mike Rose's article on his mother, basically, called Blue Collar Brilliance. I should say his family, because he also talks about his uncle. But both his mother and his uncle learned much of what they needed to know on the job. And he points out that in many ways these are very high-level skills that they developed as a result of simple blue-collar work. So I encourage you to read critically as you look at that article. And now we move on to our next topic, which is, can women have it all? Can women have it all? Well, first question that arises is, what do we mean by it? What is it all? Well, the answer quickly becomes evident that the reference is to a family life, a fulfilling, responsible family life, as well as success in a career and business. Traditionally, not the tradition is pretty old now. It's pretty old school. In which men were the breadwinners, the hunter-gatherers, if you will, and women stayed home to do the work, to do the work of raising the children and taking care of the house. We're way beyond that at this point, but at the same time, we haven't come to complete equality for sure. As you'll see, there's such a thing as the gender pay gap, which is the fact that on average, women still earn only 80% of what men earn for the same or similar work. So about 8 years ago, Anne Marie Slaughter wrote this article for the Atlantic magazine which was titled, Can Women Have It All? And here's what, it's interesting that her answer is very well stated in her thesis. As you read this article, I want you to not only pay attention to the content, which I think, although it's a long and somewhat complex argument, it's not a complicated or hard to follow argument. I think it's really quite clear. So I want you to pay attention to how she structures the argument and the kind of evidence she uses, because these are skills that you as a writer can use, and you can use this article as at least a sort of general framework or model for the they say, I say of your argumentative essay. Now, much of her evidence that she uses in this article is based on personal experience. And in some ways, personal experience has to be used with care because, as we know, what we experience individually is not always a good basis for a generalization. But I think in this case, she uses personal experience extremely effectively. First of all, she is a great role model for women. She held one of the highest positions in the Department of State under Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. She was the dean of a school, I believe it's the law school at Princeton University. So she was a very high-level person. So her experience of not being able to find that work-life balance that people are seeking these days is very illuminating. As we'll see in the discussion, or as you'll be asked about in the discussion, she made a very difficult decision to give up that job in Washington in order to accommodate the needs of her family. She says that in making the decision, she realized that she could no longer be the parent and the professional I wanted to be. So look also here at her tone. Her tone, that is the attitude she takes, the way she approaches the subject, is very calm, very rational, very honest, but also very reasonable. She says that she gets to the larger point when she says the decision to value family over professional advancement is directly at odds with prevailing social pressures. So what she's saying is that our society today has not encouraged, at least sufficiently, that work-life balance that people are looking for. And it's shocking to see that women today, according to Slaughter, according to evidence that she provides, in the form of data, women are less happy today than they were in 1972, both in absolute terms and relative to men. So this is the problem. She identifies it as the social structure, but she is firm in saying that it can change. So this is also an interesting approach, and one, again, that you can imitate. It's a kind of problem-solution structure. She suggests the solution. What's the solution? The solution, she says, is for women to have more power. She says, toward the beginning of the essay, she says, we need to have a woman president. We need to have 50 women U.S. senators. We need to have half of the House of Representatives be women, which would reflect the general population. So the question is how to do that. And she talks about how to accomplish the goal, first of all, by enlisting men on the side of feminism and equality. Notice also how she gives the opposing point of view. She says, and she's very effective in this. She says that they say that this just can't happen because women do bear children, and somebody has to take care of the children. Of course, it could be men, and increasingly it is. But she says the social policies don't really encourage that. They even actually discourage men from taking the paternity leave that they're entitled to. Now, the data on relationships between productivity in business and industry and the question of whether the company has family-friendly policies is very interesting. So here she's not only she uses personal experience, she uses expert opinion, because many places she cites studies, she cites other books by other people, articles by other people in support of her position. But she also gives data, and all three of those things together, the personal opinion, the expert opinion, and the personal experience, the expert opinion, and the data all combine to make a very powerful argument. What's her conclusion ultimately? That society has to change and stop accepting male behavior and male choices as the norm. That we have to change the social policies. So as you read this really great article, which sparked a great controversy, you'll see some of the other articles that we're going to read in coming weeks are direct responses to this article. But read it not only for the content, but again, try to see the structure. I mentioned that she, right up front, gives her thesis. It's not one sentence, but it could be expressed as one sentence. Here's what she says. I still strongly believe that women can have it all and that men can too. I believe that we can have it all at the same time. But not today, not with the way America's economy and society are currently structured. If you look at that as the thesis, the entire essay becomes very clear and the structure of the argument is very clear. So I hope you'll take a close look at that. If you have any questions, give me a call or email me. Take care.